Hi, in this video I'll be installing the Centrify Mac agent as part of the Infrastructure Services install. This is for identity and privilege when the agent is joined to AD. This is not about joining the Mac agent to the cloud. This is a continuation of the videos for setting up a Centrify evaluation. I'm assuming you've already done the rest of the setup. Refer to the other videos for setting up the backend, the OUs, setting up the zones, and test users. So at this point I'm assuming you have everything set, the zone set up for a Mac, and you have a test user that can log on to the Mac. If not, please refer to the other videos. So in this video, I'll be discussing some of that backend, verifying that the test user and test policies are all ready to go. I'll show you where you can get the agent package. Either get the all agent zip if you're doing a couple different agents, a couple different flavors, or if you're just doing the Mac, you can download individually. For the Mac machine, hardly ever is it doing a static IP. Usually these Mac are on desktops. If it was a static IP, you're going to have to modify the Mac's network to use Active Directory's DNS and add that Mac's IP address into Active Directory's DNS. Active Directory needs to know about it and verify the IPs and sites and services. Most people are going to be doing DHCP out of Active Directory, so you're going to be fine. We're going to run a AD check tool, which is to verify the machine is ready to join AD. It's an analyze function within Deployment Manager. If you've seen the other videos with the Unix installation, there's a Deployment Manager. You can also deploy the Mac agent via the Deployment Manager if you're running SSH. Most people aren't running the SSH server on Macs, so that's really not an option for a lot of people. You're going to need local admin credentials on the Mac, so we're going to install a package. So in order to install the agent, you got to have local admin rights. And in this video, I'll talk about the person doing the install, just like on the Linux videos and just like for Windows, and there needs to be an object in AD that represents the computer. So a computer object in AD needs to be created. The person doing the install either has to have the rights to create that object and in a specific location that you want that computer object to be placed, or you're going to have someone pre-create the object for you, and then we can do a self-join, and I'll talk about that as well. So we're going to be installing the agent, and we're going to join to the Centrify zone. I'll talk about the Deployment Manager again, but really we're going to be doing a manual installation. There are a lot of other software distribution tools like Casper, so that's one way of getting the Centrify Mac agent to all the Macs. I'll be demoing doing a manual installation. There's actually a GUI package, a DMG we can run through and do the install. I'll also talk about how to do a manual AD join command from the command line if you need to do a self-service join. If someone has to pre-create a computer object for you, if you don't have permission, we can run this AD join command in a certain way to get that to work for you. And we're going to verify the agent and test user logon. I'll also do a quick discussion about the smart card login, what it takes for group policy to enable it, manually to enable it, and also about certificates. But more detailed discussion about smart cards will be in another video. Let's start on the Windows machine. So again, this machine, the Mac machine, I'm assuming is DHCP in this video, so it has an IP address from DHCP. There's no reason to do DNS. Again, I'm assuming you've already watched the other videos and set everything up in the back end. So I have some Centrify zones here. I have a Mac zone, and if I expand this out and I right-click on my Mac, right-click on the Mac, and I can do show effective Unix user rights. I should have my test user all ready to go. And I don't have any computers yet, right? So I'm going to have join the Mac computer and have it show up. So my test user is all ready to go. Now, when we join this Mac computer to AD, if you watch the Linux videos, it's the same thing. There's got to be a computer object in AD. Either we're going to do it during the join, or we can pre-create it, or have someone pre-create it for us. So where are we going to put that? In my environment, I like to have a special place for Mac desktops. So either you need to do this or someone needs to do this for you, depending on your rights. If you already have full rights on the Centrify OU, you could put it under here. Again, depending on your world. A lot of people like to keep the Centrify OU data separate than from the OUs where we're putting the computer objects. The Centrify administrator needs to have full rights on the Centrify OU. They do not need to have full rights on the computers or users. So for that reason, a lot of people like to separate this. So I like to put my Mac desktops outside of this OU. But if you're in an environment where you you can't get a hold of the AD guy, and all you have is this Centrify OU, you could put it in here. But again, I'm going to make a new OU for my Mac desktops. Again, when you join the computer to AD, it needs a place to put it, so have that place ready. So I have a Mac desktops all ready to go. And then you need to download the agent. If you haven't done so already, from the Centrify support portal, you can go to the download center. This is what it looks like as of May of 2018. You want to get the latest packages. This Mac agent is really part of the Infrastructure Services package. As of now, it's 2018.0. If you're watching this video later on, it might be at a .1 or .2 is the latest. I can click on that, and we've already downloaded the back-end stuff already. You don't need this Mac console, probably, not in this eval series anyway. This is basically the Windows package if all you have is Mac agents. So this is a really big Windows package. This is a smaller Windows package. You might not need everything if all you're doing is Mac agents. It's really a subset of that. Never really need to download it that much. So all we need is the Mac agent itself. If you've already downloaded the All Agents zip disk, you can download that and you can extract from there. Inside of there is this Mac DMG. Or you just scroll down to here and we find the Mac agent. So some people like to download this. I like to just download the DMG. So get this file right here and download it. Save it somewhere. You might have to accept the EULA and then download this. So this, as of now, this is for version 10.11 and greater. Always take a look at this. It'll tell you what operating systems is the oldest and the newest that we support. So once you have that all ready to go, here it is. I have this DMG all ready to go. So we're going to install this manually. I am going to double click on this to install it. Again, you could be using Casper to push it out. There's a Centrify deployment tool that uses SSH credentials to log in, but 99.9% of the time people aren't running OpenSSH on their Mac desktops. So let's discuss using the GUI. So I just double clicked on the agent. I am logged in as a local admin on this machine. Oops, wrong spot. I want to show you. I'm actually logged on as a local admin. This is a local account that has admin rights, so I can install packages. So one of the things we can do is this AD check tool. If you've used the deployment management before, there's an analyze function. It's the same thing. This is an AD check binary that gets put on different operating systems. We have it for Unix as well. That sees that this machine is ready to join AD. If it can contact everything, all the ports are open, things like that. So you want to run this first. In here you put the AD domain and then just hit AD check. You're going to have to clear up the errors. Don't worry about the warnings. If you don't need to, I should get a warning here. I have one of my DNS servers isn't up, so I only have one DNS server, but that's okay. So here you'll notice I got a warning about a DNS, and it's letting me know, hey, you only got one of your DNS isn't coming back. But that's so fine. There's also a little note that SSH is not running, but again, this is a Mac desktop. I'm really going to do that. So I'm ready to install. Again, I have the rights to do a local install, and also I have credentials to create the computer object. Because again, you're binding this machine to AD, and you're going to create a computer object in AD, just like a Windows machine has to. And by the way, again, we're binding to AD. You can't have the Apple plugin on here who's binding to AD or any other agent that's binding to AD. Only one thing can be doing that bind. So if you actually have the Apple plugin, remove that first. If you do this install, it'll find it and it'll ask you to remove it. I don't have any of that. This is a fresh Mac. So I'm going to continue. Continue. All the basic stuff. So here's again, rights to install local agent. So this is where it's going to launch the Centrify Join Assistant. We haven't modified anything until you do that. If you unclick this, you just installed the software, but we haven't modified things to join it to AD, and you're not logging in with AD credentials. Keep that clicked and hit continue. And you notice it's going to launch this Join Assistant. And I'll show you later, we'll be able to get to this at another time. This is something we can get to manually later on. So I'm going to hit continue. Again, credentials to run this tool. So this is the domain. Can't see. And this is an ID and password that can create the computer account and the location you're going to choose. We don't want to do AutoZone. AutoZone is really meant for small little labs without complicated AD environments, and you don't get as much control with AutoZone. We want zone mode. We've already made a Mac zone. You get a lot more control with zones. You can decide who can log in where. With AutoZone, everyone can log in everywhere. And again, really complicated large environments, it's not going to be best suited for. So we want the actual zone we're going to use. We can type in Mac. We're not doing express mode. We're not doing that agent. That's the free agent with its clips, with its functionality clipped. We're not going to do that at all. We're doing a regular agent. And then unclick this advanced options because we want to pick where we're going to put this computer. If you didn't, it would try to join it to the computers section in AD. We want to specifically say what we want to do. So we're going to browse. We want to find that wherever we're going to install it. In mine, I made that Mac Desktops OU. So find the OU you're going to put this object in. And that's it. So you should be able to hit join. And then give it a second. I'll pause the video. Might take a minute. So when it finishes, it says successfully. I can hit done, close, get out, and bring up a terminal. So I can do some basic commands. We have a great command is AD info, and you get some great information inside of here. The best thing you want to see is you want to make sure that this is connected. Of course, the license feature should be enabled, but this is the part right here to make sure everything joined fine. We're connected. We got the right zone that we wanted to go to. Again, this did DHCP. We got our sites and services. Gave us our closest domain controller that we joined to. So we're all good. AD info says this agent's good. And then if you remember in the Access Manager, when we did right click and we said show effective users, a similar command on this side is AD query user. So all the users that can log in. I could do a specific one, but right now I just have one. So my test user is all ready to go. And if we go back over to my Windows machine, I do a refresh. I now have a Mac object inside there. And if I do a refresh on my zone, I got my computer in here. Notice that if you haven't joined any other agents yet, if this is your first agent, so you'll notice that under global zone, you have computers, Unix data authorization. The same thing under every child zone. You have computers, Unix data authorization. And then under the computer, you also get Unix data and role assignments because the Unix data that goes here, you could override it. If you go up top in global, we put our users there. Diana Worth, our test user, this gets inherited by this child zone. So it already has Diana Worth. I could do something like this. If for some reason, I can add in there, and then you can say inherit from the parent. So everything I want inherited from the parent, but what if I wanted to write this to be different? If I want to specifically have this one be a specific UID, I could type that in. That's only on that one machine, not for the whole zone. So that's why we have this data here. I don't need any of that, but that's why you see this extra data under the Mac Lab here. So we're all good to go. But one thing I wanted to show you is what if you can't create the computer object? So at this point, you should be able to log in as Diana Worth and be good. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to remove the agent and just show you from the command line, there's actually an AD join command. So remember we did the join inside the GUI. We did that join. So one thing I want to show you here, if you go up top to System Preferences, there's now a Centrify utility down here. I can click on that, and I can unlock changes here if I want to do anything. So there's a lot of nice tools here. This AD check, we ran that. This is the join assistant we did. AD password check, if you just want to connect to AD and do a verification of a password. And the smart card assistant, you can do this to set up. I'll talk about that a little later. All this data up here, you notice it's the same as we typed AD info. So some good data up here. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to remove this machine from the domain. Let's pretend that I didn't have rights to do the object creation. So I can install the package, but I actually can't create the computer object in AD. So what we would have done is, well, I'll just back up and I'll remove the agent. There's actually an AD leave command at the command line, but I'm going to do it via the GUI. So right here, I'm actually going to connect to AD to remove the object. So I actually want to remove the object in AD. If you were offline, you could do this bottom choice. So this might take a second. Again, I'm just backing up to pretend like I didn't have rights to create the computer object. So successfully left the domain and quit the tool. I do AD info, see it's not joining the domain. The packages are there though, so I didn't uninstall the package. So let's pretend I can install the package, but I can't actually create an object. So when I join, there's an AD join command. At the command line, there's actually an option here where I can do a self-join, and that way someone can pre-create a computer object for me. So let's go back and I'll show you that. So on this side, if I do an adduct, refresh, again we want to get back to where nothing's there. Refresh. So it's all gone. I don't know the operating system. Sometimes something's left over. I can just delete this. So I'm just pretending like I never did the join. All right. So if you are the Mac administrator and the Centrify administrator, but maybe you can't create computer objects in AD, what you need to do is have someone create it for you. I can do it as a different user just to show you it's not my Diana Worth user. But say you ask the administrator to create this computer object for you. So I got it right here. So let's say they already have a Mac desktops. They would actually pre-create the computer object for you. So again, you don't have rights. You ask some admin to do this for you. They would make a new computer, MacLab 3, right? Verify my name, MacLab 3. They put this in here. So there's a computer object that already exists. So that way, they maybe made the OU, or they already have an OU that they like to use. They make the computer object for you. You don't have that rights. But what you need to do is inside of Centrify, inside of the child zone, under computers, right-click in here and say prepare Unix computer. Remember, we consider a Mac a Unix computer. Prepare that, and then keep these options here. We're going to prepare for AD join and delegate permissions. Hit next. We can't create a computer object. We don't have the rights. So we're going to select one that someone created for us. I want to browse to where I know it is. So find your computer object. All right. We don't need to worry about the read-only domain controllers. Workstation means desktop. So this is actually a desktop. So we're going to take a desktop license. These are service principal names. You should be good. They shouldn't already exist in AD. This does need to be unique, but we're all good here. So you could specifically allow a specific user. So just allow Diana Worth or allow a specific user to do that join. But it's a lot easier if we just allow the computer to do a self-join, because we don't need to put any of the information in because we're doing all that now. So we're going to keep this option for self-join. This is who can do manage overrides. When I went over that machine and I did some extra stuff at that machine level under the child zone, who's allowed to do that? Domain admins is a good one. You could also maybe, if you had a Centrify admins group, give them permission. But we're going to keep domain admins for now, and that's it. So this machine's all ready to go. The object was pre-created. Centrify Zone knows about it. It just hasn't done the join yet. And what makes this nice and easy is the person doing the join here got to become root, and then all you got to do is AD join -s and then the name of the domain. You don't do anything else because we pre-created the object, and I don't have to have rights inside the AD at all. So a lot of times the Centrify admin is doing one thing, the Active Directory admin created the computer object, the Centrify admin is doing all the back-end work in the zones, and the Mac admin might not be rights to do anything except join this agent. Now, this was all pre-created, so you didn't have to have any rights to do it. If you wanted to give them rights to do it, one of the things we can do inside of a zone, if you right-click on the zone, there's a delegate zone control. If you actually needed to give someone the right to join a computer that didn't have it, you can do this as well. We can add in rights here, find a user, and give them the right to do certain things to that zone. Add users, add computers, join computers, remove computers. So again, we didn't need to do any of that kind of stuff, but those are things you might do out in the real world if you don't have all the rights to yourselves. So we're all good to go here. This is just like we did before with the GUI. We're at the same spot. Now this machine is all ready to go, and I should be able to log in as my Diana Worth user. So if I log out, log in as your test users. Now I'm logging in. The first time you log in, if you've never logged in before, the Centrify agent will create the home directory. So it might take a second if it's creating the home directory for the first time. Oh, by the way, just to make sure you all see this computer agent now under Mac, we pre-created that object. Now we actually know it's an OSX, right? So mine's a 10.12. So we're all good to go there. So there you go. This I logged in as Diana Worth, and I'm all good. If you go to terminal, type ID, my UID is all set, and notice that's the same as we set it up inside of Centrify. So that's the ID, the UID that Diana Worth has right there. All right. So we're all good. Let me go back to here, and let me just show you one more thing. Diana Worth is a regular user, not an admin. So if I go to System Preferences and try to do something like go to Network, you'll notice I can't change anything. This person does not have the rights. All right, so we add them as a regular user. This way you can get rid of local admins for all your Mac people. But I do want to show you some things, so let me log out as Diana Worth and log back in as my local admin. So we showed this before a little bit. I go under System Preferences, scroll down, there's a Centrify tool. Great tool if you want to run some things here. Again, you can do the AD check. We ran through all this as well. There's some good settings inside of here. Account migration if you need to map a local account. There's some settings in here if you need to do anything. You probably aren't going to do much with here, this kind of stuff here. If you need to add whitelist or blacklist specific domain controllers, again, you don't normally need to do any of this. All right. But one thing we do have is a smart card assistant. So if I click on this, you notice smart card is disabled, and this button is off. I have to unlock it. So if I want to enable smart card, someone with admin rights can hit that enable button, or if you go to the command line, there's actually an SC tool from Centrify. You run it, it'll tell you all the options. E is enable, D is disable, and then status. Okay, so I can either do it from the command line or I can do it from the GUI. Oh, there's also a group policy. So if you do the group policy, that way, if you're doing this for hundreds or thousands of Macs, you set a group policy. It's that way all the Centrify agents, the Mac agents, would download the group policy, and one of the policies would be enable smart card. Actually, you can do it by hand. And then again, I can actually just do E for enable. Now if you notice, I get out of here and go back, it's enable. All right. So in this environment for my eval right now, I don't have a CA server yet, so I can't do any more with the smart card. But this is the basic thing that you would do on your end to set up your smart card. You got to have the Centrify tool set up, so smart card tool enabled, and then you got to have the certs. If you join this Mac to AD, it's going to have to download somewhere all the correct certificates and have those trusts set. So the root certs and the intermediary certs, we got to have trust for all that. The easiest way is put that in a top level group policy. That'll be a Windows group policy, and this Mac agent will download that. Because we throw away most GPs that are Windows specific, but some things like certificates, this agent will grab and will process. So that way you get the certs on here. If you're not doing it through group policy, if during your eval you can't do that, if you don't have that right, you're going to have to manually install those certificates on here for testing smart card. So one more thing I want to show you is this diag tool that we install. You need to go into Finder, and then it's actually under the hard drive. So let me I want to do it so I can see on my hard drives. So find your local disk, go into Library, and under Library, it is under Application Support, Centrify. You'll see this Mac Diagnostic Tool. So double click on that. Maybe it's a good thing to keep in the dock. Maybe it's also a good thing if you want to make an alias for it or something like that. So it's on your make a shortcut for it. So here's a great little tool. This little diag tool. Here's the AD info, some network information, group policy if we have any. We haven't set that up yet. Some user information. You notice that UID is there. Here's a great place for debug. So we can actually some basic information, that AD info command. There's actually a bunch of other options we can do, and some of them are collecting a whole bunch of data. If you're having some problems and you want to talk to support, this button here is going to run AD info with a certain parameter and gather that data and then put it on your zip file on your desktop. We can also turn the debug on and off, and then we can save that debug log file to desktop. So if you have any issues and we got to send something to tech support, this is a great tool for gathering all that data. All right, and again, application support under Library, application support, Centrify Mac Diag tool. Well, that's it. That's everything I wanted to show you. So again, we took the agent package and we installed it manually, and I also showed you how to do the AD join command from the command line. If you need to do a self join in case someone has to pre-create the object for you, and then at the very end you should be able to log in with the test user, and then showed you some basic setup if you need to do the smart card tool. We'll get you started here. All right. Well, thank you very much. That's the end of this video.